A very warm welcome to the Fluent English community. If you happen to be joining us for the first time, we're genuinely thrilled to have you become part of our learning family. This channel is passionately dedicated to empowering you to significantly improve your English proficiency every single day. We achieve this by sharing authentic, highly relatable real-life stories and practical, actionable examples that you can immediately start using in your own conversations and writing. We make it a point to regularly upload fresh, engaging episodes specifically designed to help you purposefully and effectively cultivate both your listening comprehension and your speaking fluency. So, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and don't forget to hit that notification bell, that way you'll never miss out on valuable new lessons. We truly hope you'll stick with us on this exciting and rewarding journey toward greater English fluency. Today's episode is meticulously crafted and entirely focused on boosting your English skills, paying particular attention to enhancing your listening and speaking abilities by immersing you in the genuine, everyday life experiences of ordinary people, people just like you and me. By actively engaging with this material, not only will you begin to understand spoken, conversational English much more clearly, grasping all its subtle nuances and navigating its natural speed, but you'll also internalize techniques for expressing yourself more naturally, fluidly, and confidently in your day-to-day interactions. Let's kick things off with a reflective question, something to really get you thinking about your own language journey. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you desperately wanted, even needed, to say something specific in English, perhaps articulate a particular thought, express an opinion, or simply ask a necessary question, but you just couldn't quite grasp the right words or construct the sentence effectively in the moment? Maybe it happened while you were in a store trying to inquire about a product. Or perhaps at a restaurant attempting to place your order accurately, or even during a casual conversation with a new acquaintance or a dear friend. How did you genuinely feel in that precise moment? Take a second to vividly recall that sensation, that momentary frustration or hesitation. Now, picture this specific scenario unfolding. Meet Daniel, a university student brimming with enthusiasm and ambition, who had recently moved to an English-speaking country to pursue his studies. On his very first day exploring his new surroundings, he decided to step into a local neighborhood cafe, eager to order himself a simple cup of coffee. Initially, he felt reasonably confident, mentally rehearsing the standard ordering phrases he had diligently learned. However, when the barista behind the counter quickly, almost casually, asked him, for here or to go, Daniel completely and utterly froze on the spot. He had practiced ordering coffee, but this specific, very common phrase caught him entirely off guard. He'd simply never encountered it phrased exactly that way before, despite knowing the individual words here and go perfectly well. Instead of formulating a verbal response, feeling a sudden wave of embarrassment wash over him, he resorted to simply pointing somewhat awkwardly at an item displayed on the menu board. He felt intensely nervous and self-conscious during that brief interaction. Later, when recounting the situation to friends, he could certainly laugh about the awkwardness, but the experience also triggered a crucial realization. He understood profoundly that consistently listening to authentic, unscripted, unadapted real-life conversations is incredibly valuable because it significantly helps prepare you for precisely these kinds of unpredictable, real-world situations, those unexpected questions, idiomatic phrases, and rapid-fire exchanges that textbooks rarely capture. Now, take another moment to think about a time when you might have possibly misinterpreted something someone said in English. Perhaps you heard someone casually mention, "Oh, I'll drop you a message later," and you literally envisioned them physically dropping a written note onto the floor. Or maybe a slang term or idiom left you completely baffled. These small, often quite amusing in hindsight, misunderstandings are a universal experience. They happen to absolutely everyone learning a language, and frankly, even native speakers sometimes misunderstand each other. Crucially, however, these moments are an inherent, unavoidable, and incredibly important part of the overall language learning process. They highlight gaps in understanding and provide memorable learning opportunities. Let's immerse ourselves in another illustrative story. Meet Emma, an adventurous traveler hailing from Spain, who was experiencing the vibrant chaos of New York City for the very first time. She needed directions to a specific museum and politely asked a local resident for guidance. The New Yorker replied somewhat briskly, "Sure, just go 2 blocks down and then take a left." Emma, accustomed perhaps to metric measurements or simply a different city layout convention, proceeded to walk for roughly 2 minutes before turning left, only to find herself, much to her growing frustration, nowhere near her intended destination. She hadn't understood that in this context, 2 blocks down specifically meant to first walk past 2 distinct intersecting streets before making the turn. However, after this minor navigational misadventure, she permanently etched that particular directional expression into her memory. Real-life experiences, complete with their inherent mix of errors, confusion, and subsequent discoveries, often teach us the most effective and enduring lessons. Actively listening to authentic stories like these will significantly enhance your ability to grasp how native speakers actually communicate in their daily lives, understand the common phrases and idioms they naturally employ, and learn how to react and respond in ways that are both natural and contextually appropriate. Now, let's engage in a little bit of active practice. Try to vividly imagine yourself in the following situation and practice saying your response out loud. Picture yourself seated comfortably in a restaurant. The waiter approaches your table with a friendly smile and asks, "What can I get for you?" How would you typically respond? You could opt for a simple and direct answer like, "I'll have the burger, please." Or perhaps frame it as a question, "Can I get the salad?" Seems straightforward enough, doesn't it? But consider this scenario: what if you didn't quite catch exactly what the waiter said? This happens frequently due to ambient background noise in a busy restaurant, the waiter's accent, or simply the speed at which they spoke. Instead of succumbing to panic or just nodding vaguely, you have effective tools at your disposal. You can politely and confidently say, "Could you repeat that, please?" Or perhaps, "Sorry, I didn't quite catch that." Another useful option, especially if speed is the issue, is, "Could you speak a little more slowly, please?" These seemingly small but incredibly useful phrases empower you to sound more assured and maintain control in virtually any conversational exchange, ensuring clear communication. Now, let's transition smoothly to another common real-life scenario. Imagine you're navigating the aisles of a grocery store, perhaps a large supermarket. Your mission is to buy some fruit, but you're having trouble locating the apples amidst the vast array of shelves and products. You spot a store employee stocking shelves nearby and decide to ask for assistance. What would you say? A polite approach would be, "Excuse me, where can I find the apples?" Or, a slightly more direct query, "Do you have any apples?" Both are simple, courteous, and highly effective ways to request help. If the employee responds with something like, "Sure, they're over in aisle 5, you've just encountered a crucial new vocabulary word, aisle. Make a mental note, or better yet, jot it down. Aisle 5. Now, what if you're still unsure precisely where aisle 5 is located within the store's layout? You can always follow up and seek further clarification by asking, "Could you show me where that is, please?" Let me share another relevant real-world experience now. There was a gentleman named James. He had relocated to Canada for a new job opportunity and was highly motivated to improve his conversational English skills. One afternoon, he went to the supermarket to pick up some essential groceries. He specifically needed to buy milk, but despite knowing the word milk itself, he felt completely unsure how to phrase the question correctly in a natural-sounding way. He felt too self-conscious to initiate the conversation because he was deeply afraid of making a grammatical error and potentially appearing foolish or unintelligent. So, instead of simply asking for assistance, he spent a frustrating 20 minutes wandering aimlessly through the enormous store, feeling increasingly lost and flustered, trying desperately to locate the milk section on his own. Finally, gathering every ounce of his courage, he spotted an employee rearranging items on a shelf and, stammering just a little, managed to ask, "Where? Milk?" The employee offered a warm, friendly smile and replied helpfully, "Oh, you mean, where is the milk? Of course. It's right at the back of the store, in the refrigerated dairy section." James learned something incredibly valuable that day. Firstly, he discovered firsthand that the vast majority of people are genuinely quite kind and are almost always willing to help if approached politely and respectfully. Secondly, and just as importantly, he learned the correct and complete grammatical structure for his question, "Where is the milk?" From that pivotal day forward, he began practicing speaking English much more boldly and frequently, shedding much of his previous inhibiting fear. Even when he inevitably made mistakes, which, of course, he still did occasionally, he simply resolved to keep trying, again and again, viewing each attempt as a learning opportunity. Have you ever found yourself in a similar predicament? Perhaps you were navigating a new, unfamiliar city and felt uncertain how to ask for directions accurately? Maybe you desperately wanted to strike up a conversation with someone in English but felt held back by shyness or a lack of confidence? Please trust me when I say, this is an absolutely universal experience for language learners at all proficiency levels, from beginner to advanced. But here's the encouraging truth: the more consistently you practice, the more frequently you intentionally place yourself in these kinds of communicative situations, the more confident and fluent you will undeniably become over time. It's a gradual but certain process. Now, let's shift our focus to another extremely common situation: ordering food in a restaurant. Imagine yourself walking into a typical fast food establishment. The cashier positioned behind the counter greets you and asks the standard question, "What would you like to order?" You could respond clearly with, "I'd like a cheeseburger, please." Or perhaps, "Can I have the chicken sandwich?" Straightforward enough. But what happens if the cashier follows up with an additional, often rapid-fire question, such as the ubiquitous, "Would you like fries with that?" You might not have anticipated this specific add-on query. The key is not to get flustered. You can simply provide a concise answer like yes, please, or no, thank you. Another option could be, "Just the sandwich today, thanks." These brief, yet clear and decisive, responses ensure that your interaction flows smoothly and naturally, avoiding awkward pauses. Here's another illustrative real-life story. Meet Anna, a woman originally from Brazil, who was visiting the United States for the very first time. She ventured into a restaurant, eager to order some lunch. When the waiter approached her table and politely inquired, "What can I get for you?" a wave of panic washed over her. She knew exactly what she wanted to order from the menu, but she felt intensely nervous about speaking English with her noticeable accent. Consequently, she resorted to simply pointing at a picture on the menu instead of speaking. The waiter, showing understanding and patience, smiled and said, "Ah, the grilled chicken salad. Excellent choice. No problem at all. Would you like a drink with that?" Initially, Anna didn't quite grasp that particular phrasing. She looked visibly confused. The waiter, perceptive to her hesitation, rephrased the question slightly differently, "Would you like something to drink?" Finally, the meaning clicked, and she responded, "Oh, yes, please. A Coke would be great, please." Later, reflecting on this interaction, Anna had an important realization. She understood that native speakers often speak quite rapidly, and crucially, they frequently employ various different words or phrasings to express the very same core idea. Instead of the more direct question, "Do you want something to drink?" the waiter had used the highly common food service industry phrase, "Would you like a drink with that?" Both sentences fundamentally convey the same meaning, but they sound slightly different in structure and formality. This perfectly underscores why it is so incredibly beneficial to listen to a wide variety of authentic, real-life conversations. When you consistently expose yourself to different ways of saying the same thing, you'll begin to recognize these variations automatically and intuitively when you encounter them in real-world interactions, significantly boosting your confidence and comprehension. Now, let's envision another common scenario. You're checked into a hotel, and you find yourself needing additional towels for your bathroom. How would you go about requesting them? You could approach the front desk and politely state your need. "Excuse me, could I possibly have some extra towels sent up to my room, please?" Alternatively, perhaps you're staying over at a friend's house as a guest. You'd like to take a shower but realize you didn't bring your own towel. In this distinctly informal setting, you might casually ask your friend, "Hey, do you happen to have a spare towel I could borrow?" Both sentences effectively ask for the same item, but the second one utilizes a much more informal, friendly tone and vocabulary, spare, borrow. Developing an intuitive understanding of when to employ formal versus informal language, adjusting your register, is a significant and vital aspect of enhancing your overall conversational English fluency. Let's consider another narrative. Recall Mark, the gentleman from Japan who traveled to England for business. Upon checking into his hotel room, he discovered there was no complimentary shampoo provided in the bathroom. He wanted to request some but felt slightly unsure about the most appropriate way to phrase his request. His initial thought was to rely on a translation app on his phone, but he decided instead to challenge himself and attempt to communicate in English directly. He approached the reception desk and stated simply, "I need shampoo." The receptionist, of course, understood his meaning perfectly, but very courteously offered a gentle correction, responding, "Oh, you need some shampoo? Certainly, sir. I'll have some brought up to your room right away." This subtle, yet timely and helpful, correction provided Mark with a valuable learning moment, improving his English accuracy. He learned that in English, particularly when referring to uncountable nouns like shampoo, or when requesting an unspecified quantity, it's generally more natural and grammatically correct to say "I need some shampoo," rather than simply "I need shampoo." Even seemingly minor grammatical details like this contribute significantly to making your English sound more natural, fluent, and correct. Remember, every single time you encounter a new phrase, learn an unfamiliar word, or receive a polite and constructive correction, you are actively learning and growing. This is precisely why immersing yourself consistently in real-life stories and authentic dialogues is so incredibly beneficial. These materials help you grasp how people actually communicate in everyday life, going far beyond the often simplified or artificial language found in many textbooks. Now, let's engage in some further active practice. Imagine you're browsing in a clothing store. You spot a jacket that catches your eye, but you suspect you might need a different size. What would you say to the sales associate assisting customers on the floor? You could inquire, "Excuse me, do you happen to have this jacket in a smaller size? Or perhaps a larger one? Or more specifically, do you carry this style in a medium?" Now, let's contemplate another very typical inquiry. What if you find yourself navigating a new city and urgently need to ask for directions? How would you phrase your question? You could politely approach someone and ask, "Excuse me, could you tell me how I get to the main train station from here?" Or perhaps, "Could you please tell me where the nearest bus stop is located?" Mastering the skill of asking for help clearly and politely is an absolutely essential competency when learning any new language, and particularly crucial for navigating English-speaking environments. And always remember, if you ever fail to understand the response given, perhaps due to the speaker's speed, accent, or use of unfamiliar vocabulary, you always have the option to politely request clarification. "I'm sorry, could you possibly repeat that, please?" Or, alternatively, "Sorry, I didn't quite catch all of that." Let's revisit the story about asking directions featuring Michael, the tourist from Italy visiting London. He was eager to see the iconic Big Ben but had absolutely no clue how to get there from his current location. He politely stopped a local resident on the bustling street and asked somewhat brokenly, "Big Ben where?" The person responded with a friendly smile and said helpfully, "Oh, you want to go to Big Ben? It's easy. Just walk straight ahead down this street, and then take a left when you get to the bridge." Michael realized later that he had made a grammatical error in his question. Instead of the abrupt "Big Ben where," a more complete and correct phrasing would have been, "Excuse me, how do I get to Big Ben?" But here's the crucial takeaway: the most important outcome was that he successfully received the correct information anyway and did manage to find the famous landmark. This experience powerfully taught him that even if his English was far from perfect, nowhere near flawless, people in most situations would still likely understand his intent and make an effort to assist him. The absolute key is to simply keep trying to speak, to communicate your needs, and to continuously learn from the inevitable mistakes along the way. Remember, every single time you actively practice listening to real, authentic, living English, you are simultaneously enhancing your own ability to speak more fluently and naturally, the more exposure you get through listening, the more natural, familiar, and intuitive the English language will inevitably begin to feel for you. Now, let's reflect on another highly frequent scenario. Imagine yourself navigating the often chaotic environment of an airport, typically large, noisy, and filled with signs. You need to locate your specific departure gate, but you feel unsure about which direction to go amidst the multitude of signs and concourses. You could approach an airport information desk or an airline employee and ask clearly, "Excuse me, could you please tell me where gate 25 is?" If the person responds very quickly or perhaps with an accent that's difficult for you to understand, please don't worry or feel hesitant to ask for clarification. Simply and politely state, "I'm sorry, could you please say that again?" Engaging in attentive listening and promptly asking clarifying questions when necessary will significantly help you feel much more confident and capable when navigating potentially confusing situations like these. Real, everyday English, as you've undoubtedly gathered by now, is absolutely replete with numerous different ways to express the very same idea or ask the same question. The more consistently you expose yourself to this rich variety of authentic speech, the more comfortable and adaptable you will naturally become when it's your turn to speak. Now, let's press on with exploring even more beneficial everyday situations. Let's delve into another prevalent scenario, meeting new people and introducing yourself effectively. Imagine finding yourself in a new environment, perhaps starting a new job, joining a study group, attending a conference, or even just being at a casual social gathering, and you encounter someone for the very first time. What would be an appropriate way to initiate contact? The simplest, most universally accepted, and polite approach is to start with, "Hi, I'm your name. It's really nice to meet you." The other person will most likely reciprocate with a similar sentiment, such as, "It's nice to meet you too. So, what do you do, or perhaps where are you originally from?" Now, let me recount the story involving Lisa again, providing a bit more context. Recall that Lisa had relocated to Australia for a job opportunity. On her very first day in the new office, understandably, she felt extremely nervous, primarily because her English proficiency wasn't yet perfect, and this made her feel quite self-conscious. When her new colleague, David, approached her desk with a warm smile and said, "Hi there, I'm David. It's great to meet you," Lisa experienced a moment of slight panic. Her mind raced, she knew she should respond with "It's nice to meet you too," but instead, caught off guard, she simply offered an awkward smile and managed only a quiet, "Yes." David, perceptive to her nervousness, decided to gently help ease her into conversation. He followed up with a friendly, open-ended question, "So, where are you from originally?" Lisa took a calming deep breath, mentally composed herself, and replied more clearly, "I'm from Korea." David's face lit up with a broad smile as he responded enthusiastically, "Oh, wow, that's fantastic. I've actually always wanted to visit Korea someday." After this brief, positive exchange, Lisa felt significantly more comfortable and relaxed. She came to an important realization: native English speakers generally do not expect flawless, perfect English from newcomers right from day one. What they usually value more is a friendly demeanor and a willingness to engage in normal human conversation. Even if you stumble over words or make grammatical errors, it's truly, perfectly okay. The absolute key is to keep making the effort to speak and not be overly afraid of appearing less than perfect. Okay, let's engage in some active practice based on this. Imagine someone approaches you and asks the common introductory question, "Where are you from?" How would you typically respond? You could state clearly, "I'm from Mexico," or perhaps, "I originally come from India." If you wish to proactively continue the conversation and demonstrate genuine interest in the other person, you could follow up with a related question, such as, "Have you ever had the chance to visit my country?" This simple addition makes the conversation more dynamic, interesting, and reciprocal. Now, let's transition to another highly practical real-life situation, navigating public transportation systems. Imagine you find yourself in a large, unfamiliar city, and you need to utilize the local bus or train network to reach your desired destination. You feel uncertain about the correct route or direction, so you need to ask someone for assistance. What could you say? You might approach someone at a bus stop or station and ask, "Excuse me, could you tell me which bus goes towards the downtown area? Or perhaps, where can I find the nearest subway station entrance?" If the person responds too quickly or their speech is unclear, remember you can always politely request, "I'm sorry, could you please say that again?" Or even more considerately, "Would you mind speaking just a little slower, please?" Let's revisit the real story involving Pedro. Recall that Pedro was visiting New York City for the first time. He was determined to take the subway to the iconic Times Square but felt utterly overwhelmed by the complex system and unsure which specific train line he needed among the myriad of options and directions. Spotting a police officer standing nearby, he approached and asked somewhat tentatively, "Excuse me, Times Square?" The officer, accustomed to such inquiries, smiled in a reassuringly friendly way and replied clearly, "Oh, right. You'll want to take the number 1 train, heading downtown." Pedro didn't catch every single word verbatim, but he distinctly registered the key pieces of information: number 1 train and downtown. Therefore, he confidently followed the prominent signs marked with a 1 and indicating downtown, and ultimately, he successfully found his way to his destination. Later, he reflected on the grammatical imperfection of his initial question. Instead of the abrupt Times Square, he recognized that a more complete and standard phrasing would have been, "Excuse me, how do I get to Times Square?" But here's the crucial point: despite the grammatical error, he still obtained the necessary information and successfully achieved his goal. This serves as a profoundly important lesson: effective communication is not always contingent upon perfect grammar or flawless delivery. It's primarily about successfully conveying your message and being understood. Even if your sentence structure is incomplete or contains minor errors, people, particularly in major tourist destinations, will generally make an effort to understand and assist you. Now, let's contemplate another extremely frequent scenario: shopping for necessities. Imagine you're in a store, perhaps a pharmacy or a supermarket, and you need to locate a specific item. You could approach a store employee and inquire, "Excuse me, could you tell me where I can find the toothpaste?" If the employee replies, "Sure, it's over in aisle 3, but you didn't quite catch that or you're unsure which aisle is number 3, you can always politely ask for further clarification, "I'm sorry, could you possibly show me where that is, please?" Let's revisit the real story about Maria. Maria had moved to Canada and found herself in urgent need of a warm winter coat due to the changing seasons. She went into a department store but felt unsure how to correctly ask about the size she needed. She picked up a jacket from a display rack and asked a nearby employee somewhat hesitantly, "This small?" The employee understood her intended meaning immediately but offered a gentle, helpful correction, responding, "Oh, are you looking for this jacket in a small size?" Maria smiled, relieved, and confirmed, "Yes, exactly. I need a small size, please." This small, yet incredibly useful and timely, correction helped Maria significantly improve her English accuracy within a real, practical shopping situation. She learned that instead of saying "this small," it was more natural and grammatically correct to ask, "Do you have this in a small size?" Over time, by consistently encountering similar situations and benefiting from such gentle feedback, she became considerably more confident when speaking in stores and asking for precisely what she needed. Have you ever had a comparable experience yourself? Perhaps you were in a shop and struggled to find the exact words to ask for something or explain a specific requirement? Please don't worry if you have, it's an absolutely normal part of the language acquisition process for everyone. But rest assured, the more consistently you practice engaging in these types of interactions, the easier and more natural they will inevitably become for you. Okay, let's do one more round of focused practice. Imagine you're back in a restaurant setting, ready to order your meal. The waiter approaches and asks, "What would you like to eat?" How would you respond? You could state your choice clearly, "I'd like the pizza, please." Or perhaps phrase it as, "Can I have the burger?" Now, let's say the waiter follows up with the common query, "Would you like a drink with that?" How would you reply? You might say, "Yes, I'd like a soda, please." Or keep it simple with, "No, thank you." Let's recall the real story involving Ahmed. Ahmed was vacationing in England. One afternoon, he walked into a cozy cafe intending to order a coffee. He approached the counter and simply stated, "Coffee?" The barista, likely accustomed to various levels of English proficiency, smiled readily and asked the standard clarifying question, "Certainly. What kind of coffee would you like?" Ahmed felt momentarily stumped. He wasn't prepared for this follow-up question and didn't know how to respond with specifics. The perceptive barista noticed his hesitation and helpfully offered some common options. "Would you prefer a black coffee, or perhaps a coffee with milk?" Ahmed finally grasped the distinction being made and replied, "Coffee with milk, please." Now, let's revisit a situation we've touched on before, but its importance warrants reinforcement: ordering food in a restaurant. This is an activity that most of us engage in quite regularly. Whether we're traveling abroad, residing in a new country, or simply seeking opportunities to practice English in an environment where it's spoken, ordering food represents a straightforward yet profoundly significant skill that can substantially bolster your confidence when speaking English. Imagine yourself walking into a restaurant and being greeted by a waiter. The waiter smiles warmly and says, "Hi there, welcome. How can I help you today? What's your opening line?" The most effective and polite way to initiate your order is typically by using the phrase, "I'd like." For instance, if your desired dish is a burger, you would say, "I'd like the burger, please." If pizza is your choice, you'd state, "I'd like a slice of pizza, please." Now, let's re-examine the real story about Carlos, whom we mentioned earlier, but let's add more texture. Carlos had moved to Canada for work and, one evening, decided to treat himself to dinner alone at a local restaurant. He carefully perused the menu and decided he wanted to order the spaghetti. When the waiter approached his table and asked the standard, "What would you like to eat?" Carlos felt a surge of nervousness. He intended to say, "I'd like the spaghetti, please," but instead, flustered by the pressure of the moment, he simply pointed to the item on the menu and uttered, "This." The waiter, displaying understanding, smiled and confirmed, "The spaghetti. An excellent choice. And would you like anything to drink with that?" Carlos felt a renewed sense of slight panic. He wanted to order a bottle of water but felt unsure about the precise phrasing, so he managed only a simple, "water." The waiter understood his request but politely sought clarification, "Certainly. Would you prefer still water or sparkling water?" Carlos felt confused again, as he had never encountered these specific terms for water types before. The waiter noticed his bewilderment and patiently elaborated, "Still water is just regular, non-carbonated water, whereas sparkling water has bubbles. Like soda water." Carlos finally grasped the distinction and replied, "Okay. Still water, please." The waiter smiled reassuringly and said, "No problem at all. I'll bring that right up for you." This interaction taught Carlos an extremely valuable lesson. He realized that even if he didn't possess a perfect command of every single word, he could still navigate conversations successfully. Crucially, he also learned and began consciously incorporating the highly useful phrase "I'd like," which significantly boosted his confidence the next time he found himself ordering food. Okay, let's practice together once more. Imagine you're in a restaurant scenario. You've finished your main course, and the waiter inquires, "Would you like anything else? Perhaps some dessert or coffee?" How might you respond? You could say, "No, thank you, that was everything for me." Or perhaps, "Yes, actually. Could I see the dessert menu, please?" If you need something during your meal, you can politely signal the waiter and ask, "Excuse me, could I possibly get some more water, please?" Or when you're ready to leave, "Could I have the bill, please?" Ordering food truly provides an excellent, low-stakes opportunity to practice your English because it necessitates real-time, dynamic conversation. You actively listen to questions, formulate responses, and genuinely interact with other people within a completely natural, everyday setting. Now, let's transition to another inescapable life situation: asking for directions when lost. Imagine you find yourself exploring a new city and need to locate a specific landmark or address. Perhaps you're searching for the main bank, the central train station, or the nearest public park. How would you typically initiate asking for directions? The most straightforward and direct method is often to politely approach someone and state, "Excuse me. Could you tell me where the name of place is?" For example, "Excuse me. Where is the nearest bank?" Let's revisit the story about Sarah, whom we've also discussed. Sarah was experiencing London for the first time. She was eager to visit the famous Buckingham Palace but had absolutely no idea how to navigate there from the nearest underground station. Spotting a friendly-looking woman on the street, she decided to seek assistance. She approached and asked somewhat tentatively, "Excuse me. Buckingham Palace?" The woman smiled kindly and responded, "Oh, right, Buckingham Palace. Yes, just walk straight ahead down this street. Then, take a left at the main intersection ahead." Sarah didn't catch every single word verbatim due to the pace of the conversation, but she clearly registered the key directional phrases, straight ahead and left. So, she nodded gratefully in understanding and replied simply, "Thank you very much." Later, upon reflection, Sarah realized that her initial question had been overly brief and not entirely grammatically sound. Instead of the clipped Buckingham Palace, she recognized that a more complete and standard phrasing would have been, "Excuse me, how do I get to Buckingham Palace?" Or perhaps, "Excuse me, could you tell me which way Buckingham Palace is?" The next time she found herself needing directions, she made a conscious effort to use a more complete sentence structure. She wanted to find a shopping mall, so she approached a passerby and asked clearly, "Excuse me, could you please tell me how to get to the shopping mall?" The person replied helpfully, "Certainly. Just walk straight for about 2 blocks, and then turn right at the corner." This time, Sarah understood the directions perfectly and easily located the shopping mall. Have you ever found yourself in a situation analogous to Sarah's? Perhaps you were exploring a new area and felt unsure about the best way to ask for directions, or maybe you felt hesitant or shy about approaching a stranger? Let me reiterate, this is an absolutely universal experience for language learners. The encouraging news is that people, especially in tourist-frequented areas, are generally very willing and happy to assist a visitor who appears lost. Okay, let's engage in some practice. Imagine you're standing inside a busy train station, and you need to locate the ticket office. How would you ask for assistance? You could approach an information desk or an employee and say, "Excuse me. Could you please tell me where the ticket office is?" Or alternatively, "Excuse me, where can I buy a train ticket?" If you don't fully understand the response given or the specific direction indicated, remember you can always politely request clarification. "I'm sorry, could you please repeat that?" Or perhaps, "Could you possibly say that a little bit slower?" Now, let's talk about another highly relevant real-life scenario, checking into a hotel upon arrival. Imagine you arrive at your hotel after a long and perhaps tiring journey. You approach the main reception desk, and the receptionist greets you with a welcoming smile and asks the standard question, "Welcome. Do you have a reservation with us?" What is your response? If you indeed booked your room in advance, you would reply, "Yes, I do. I have a reservation under the name, your name." If, however, you arrived without a prior booking, you might inquire, "No, I don't have a reservation currently. Do you happen to have any rooms available for tonight?" Let me share the story about James again, whom we've already encountered. James traveled to Japan for a business trip. Upon arriving at his hotel, he proceeded directly to the reception desk. The receptionist inquired politely, "Good evening. Do you have a reservation, sir?" James smiled and responded clearly, "Yes, I do. The name is James Parker." The receptionist quickly checked the reservation system on their computer and confirmed, "Ah yes, Mr. Parker, we have your booking right here. You'll be staying with us for 3 nights in a standard single room." James then wanted to clarify whether breakfast was included as part of his room rate, so he asked politely, "Excuse me, is breakfast included with the room?" The receptionist replied affirmatively, "Yes, it is. Breakfast is served complimentary between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. each morning in our main dining area." James also needed to inquire about internet access. He asked, "Is there complimentary Wi-Fi available in the hotel rooms?" The receptionist confirmed, yes, absolutely. Here is the network name and the Wi-Fi password for you. After completing the formal check-in procedures, James realized he needed assistance with his luggage. He therefore asked, would it be possible to get some help with my bags up to the room? A helpful bellhop assisted him, and James proceeded to his room feeling considerably more comfortable and relieved because he had successfully managed to communicate effectively in English and address all of his immediate needs upon arrival. Okay, let's do some practice together based on this hotel scenario. Imagine you are in the process of booking a hotel room, perhaps over the phone or at the front desk, and the receptionist asks, would you prefer a room with a city view or a garden view? How might you respond? You could state your preference clearly, yes, please. I'd love a room with a city view if possible. Or perhaps, no, thank you, a view isn't necessary. Any standard room will be perfectly fine. If you require something additional during your stay, you can always ask politely, excuse me, do you offer free Wi-Fi throughout the hotel? Or, could I possibly request an extra pillow for my room, please? Engaging in speaking English within Real. Highly practical situations like these provides invaluable practice, simultaneously enhancing both your listening comprehension skills, understanding the questions asked, and your speaking abilities, formulating clear answers and making polite requests. Remember, every single time you actively use English in a genuine conversational exchange, no matter how brief or simple it may seem, you are demonstrably building greater confidence and accumulating valuable practical experience. Now, let's continue our exploration by delving into even more everyday situations, aiming to further solidify your understanding and skills. Let's dive deeper into a wider array of real-life scenarios designed to help you continue practicing your English, enabling you to steadily build both confidence and fluency in your speaking and listening abilities. Our ultimate objective is to make using English feel increasingly natural and comfortable for you across the diverse spectrum of daily interactions. Next up, let's consider the potentially sensitive situation of visiting a doctor's office. Occasionally, we find ourselves needing to communicate clearly with a healthcare professional to accurately describe how we're feeling physically. This is a truly vital skill, and possessing the ability to do so effectively can significantly contribute to feeling much more comfortable, understood, and confident during medical consultations. If you ever find yourself in a situation requiring medical assistance, remember to stay calm. Imagine, for a moment, that you're feeling unwell, perhaps feeling sick or experiencing specific discomfort, and recognize the need to see a doctor. You walk into the doctor's office or clinic, and the receptionist at the front desk greets you politely, asking, "Good morning/afternoon. How may I help you today?" How should you respond? You could state your need directly, "Hello. I'm not feeling well today. And I need to see the doctor, please." Let's look at a real example related to this. Recall Maria, the woman from Brazil we discussed earlier. While visiting the United States, she suddenly began feeling quite ill. She wasn't entirely sure what was wrong, but she experienced distinct feelings of nausea, feeling nauseous, and profound fatigue, feeling extremely tired. She located the nearest walk-in clinic and, upon being asked by the receptionist how she was feeling, she simply stated, "I feel sick." The receptionist responded with a sympathetic smile and asked the standard follow-up question, "Okay, could you describe your symptoms, please?" Maria felt a wave of uncertainty because she didn't know the precise meaning of the word symptoms in English. The perceptive receptionist noticed her hesitation and patiently clarified. Symptoms are the signs that indicate what might be wrong with your body. For instance, having a headache or running a fever are common symptoms. Maria took a moment to process this explanation and then was able to articulate her condition more specifically. "Okay, I understand. I feel very tired, and I also have a persistent stomach ache." The receptionist duly noted this information and reassured her, "All right, thank you. The doctor will be able to see you very shortly." Maria felt an immense sense of relief knowing she had been understood. Despite not knowing all the complex medical terminology, she had successfully communicated her problem and was now on track to receive the necessary medical attention. This story serves as a powerful illustration that not knowing every single word is perfectly acceptable and normal. The most crucial element is being able to explain yourself as clearly as possible, effectively utilizing the vocabulary you already possess. Now, imagine you are inside the examination room, and the doctor enters, asking kindly, "So, what seems to be the problem today?" How would you typically respond? You can describe your physical sensations directly. "I have a constant headache, I've been feeling quite dizzy lately," or "I woke up with a very sore throat this morning." Furthermore, remember that you can, and should, feel empowered to ask the doctor clarifying questions. "Could you tell me what might be wrong with me?" Or, "Will I need to take any specific kind of medicine for this?" Another incredibly important skill to possess is knowing how to politely request assistance or clarification when you don't fully understand the doctor's instructions or recommendations. Let's say the doctor prescribes some medication but you feel uncertain about the exact timing or the appropriate dosage. You absolutely should feel comfortable asking clarifying questions such as, "How often should I be taking this medication each day?" Or perhaps, "How many pills am I supposed to take each time?" In these critical situations, never hesitate to ask for clarification. It is far preferable to ask follow-up questions and ensure complete understanding than to remain uncertain about something as vital as your health and treatment plan. Let's shift gears now to another common scenario: utilizing public transportation. Public transit systems are a daily reality for many people in cities across the globe, making them excellent, readily available environments for practicing conversational English in a real-world context. Suppose you find yourself in an unfamiliar city needing to catch a bus or train. How would you inquire about finding the nearest stop or station? You might ask someone, "Excuse me, could you tell me where the nearest bus stop is located?" Or, "How do I get to the main train station from here?" Let's consider the example involving Tom again, the first-time visitor to London whom we previously mentioned. Tom was unsure how to travel from his hotel to the museum he wanted to visit. He approached the hotel receptionist and asked directly, "Could you please tell me how I can get to the museum?" The helpful receptionist replied, "Certainly. The easiest way is probably to take the bus. There's a bus stop conveniently located right across the street from the hotel. You'll just need to catch bus number 25. Tom felt slightly unsure about which stop to disembark at, so he followed up, asking, "Okay, thank you. And where exactly do I need to get off the bus?" The receptionist patiently explained. "You'll want to get off at the third stop after you board. You really can't miss it, you'll see the large museum building directly on your left-hand side." Tom carefully followed these instructions and easily located the designated bus stop. He checked the sign, and indeed, it clearly indicated bus 25. When the bus arrived shortly after, he boarded and, just to be absolutely certain, confirmed with the driver, "Excuse me, does this bus go towards the museum?" The driver smiled and affirmed, "Yes, it does. Just remember to get off at the third stop." Although Tom felt a little apprehensive initially, he quickly realized that asking simple, direct, clarifying questions had enabled him to navigate the unfamiliar system easily and reach his destination without issue. Okay, let's practice this together now. Imagine you're out and about in a city and need to catch a bus. You could ask someone, "How do I find the nearest bus stop from here?" Or perhaps, "Which bus number should I take if I want to get to the art museum?" If you find yourself unsure about any details, remember you can always ask the driver or even fellow passengers for clarification. "How much does the bus fare cost?" Or, "Do I need to signal when I want to get off at a particular stop?" Another essential everyday situation we should address is going to the grocery store. Most of us need to buy food multiple times a week, making the supermarket a fantastic, low-pressure environment for practicing practical, spoken English in a casual setting. Imagine you're inside the grocery store, searching for the fruit section. How would you politely request assistance from a store employee? You could approach them and ask, "Excuse me, could you point me towards the fruit section?" Or, "Could you please show me where the fresh vegetables are located?" Let me recount the story involving Emma again, whom we've also met before. Emma was doing her grocery shopping in Canada and specifically needed to find apples. Unsure where the fruit section was situated within the large store, she approached a nearby employee and asked simply, "Excuse me, where are the apples?" The employee smiled helpfully and gestured towards the left, replying, "The apples are right over there in the main fruit section." Emma was pleased to have located the apples, but she also became curious about whether there were any ongoing special offers or discounts available on fruit that day. She decided to ask, "Excuse me again, are there any discounts on fruit today?" The employee smiled once more and responded informatively, "Actually, yes. We currently have a sale on Honeycrisp apples. They're marked down 30% off the regular price today." Emma felt delighted by this fortunate discovery and expressed her gratitude to the helpful employee before selecting several apples at the attractive sale price. Alright, let's engage in some practice. Imagine you're in the grocery store and need help locating milk. You could ask, "Excuse me, where's the milk located?" Or perhaps, "Could you help me find the dairy section, please?" If you're searching for a very specific item, you might inquire, "Do you happen to carry organic apples?" Or, "Where can I find your selection of gluten-free bread?" You can also readily inquire about pricing. For instance, "How much does this particular item cost?" Or, "Is there currently a discount offered on this product?" Engaging in real-life situations exactly like these helps you practice precisely the kind of practical English you need for everyday tasks. And remember, the more consistently you engage in this type of practice, the easier it inevitably becomes to speak with confidence and swiftly comprehend what others are saying to you in return. Let's discuss another common scenario: going to the post office. Perhaps you need to mail a letter, send off a parcel, or simply purchase some stamps. The initial step, naturally, is locating the post office itself. You could ask someone on the street for directions, "Excuse me, could you tell me where the nearest post office is?" Or, "How do I get to the post office from here?" Let's recall the story involving David, whom we met earlier. David was visiting the United Kingdom and wanted to send a postcard back home to his family. Unsure of the location of the nearest post office, he politely asked a local resident, "Excuse me, where is the post office around here?" The local responded helpfully, "Oh, it's quite close. Just go around the corner there, right next to the large supermarket." David expressed his thanks and proceeded towards the post office. Once inside, however, he felt uncertain about the exact procedure for mailing his postcard internationally. He approached the clerk working behind the counter and inquired, "Excuse me, how do I go about mailing this postcard?" The clerk smiled and explained the simple process, "Certainly. You'll just need to purchase an international stamp first. You can find the stamps for sale right over there at that self-service machine, or I can sell you one here." David opted to buy one from the clerk, chose a visually appealing stamp, and asked, "How much does this particular stamp cost?" The clerk stated the price, and David was then able to successfully affix the stamp and mail his postcard. Through this straightforward interaction, David effectively practiced asking simple, yet entirely necessary, questions that enabled him to obtain the required information and successfully complete his intended task. Should you ever need to utilize post office services yourself, you can confidently follow these very same basic steps. First, inquire about the location of the post office. Once inside, don't hesitate to ask how to mail your specific item or where you can purchase the necessary stamps or postage. Okay, let's practice this together now. Imagine you need to mail a letter at the post office. You could ask the clerk at the counter, "Excuse me, where can I purchase a stamp for this letter?" Or perhaps, "Could you tell me how much it costs to send this letter internationally to, name of country?" Now, let's revisit the crucial scenario of ordering food in a restaurant. This remains an extremely common situation where you'll frequently need to employ your English skills, particularly if you find yourself traveling or residing in an English-speaking country. When you enter a restaurant, one of the first actions you typically take is to examine the menu. Sometimes, menus present such a wide array of options that you might feel overwhelmed or unsure about what to choose. In such instances, feel completely comfortable asking the waiter for guidance. "Excuse me, what dishes do you personally recommend?" Or, "What is the chef's special for today?" Let's reimagine the real situation involving Daniel, whom we previously encountered in the cafe. Daniel was visiting New York City for the first time and decided to venture into a restaurant for lunch. He settled at a table, carefully studied the menu, but felt uncertain about what to order from the list of potentially unfamiliar dishes. The waiter approached his table and initiated the interaction, saying, "Hi there, welcome to our restaurant. Are you ready to order, or would you like a few more minutes?" Daniel smiled and responded honestly and politely, "Actually, I'm not quite sure what to order yet. Everything looks good. What would you recommend?" The waiter offered a helpful suggestion. "Well, our most popular dish by far is the classic grilled chicken served with creamy mashed potatoes and seasonal vegetables." Daniel decided this sounded like a safe and appealing option, so he confirmed, "Okay, that sounds great. I'll have that, please." The waiter then followed up with the standard beverage inquiry, "Excellent choice. And would you like anything to drink with your meal?" Daniel replied, "Yes, please. I'll just have a glass of water." After placing his order, Daniel became curious about the approximate preparation time for his meal. He inquired politely, "Excuse me, about how long will the food take to prepare?" The waiter provided an estimate. "It should be ready in about 15 minutes or so." When the meal was eventually served, Daniel decided he'd like a little extra sauce to accompany his chicken. He caught the waiter's eye and requested, "Excuse me, could I possibly get some extra sauce on the side, please?" The waiter promptly brought the sauce, and Daniel thoroughly enjoyed his delicious meal. Finally, at the end of his dining experience, Daniel needed to settle the bill. He signaled the waiter and asked, "Could I have the bill, please?" The waiter brought the check, and Daniel reviewed it. He preferred to pay using his credit card, so he asked, "Do you accept credit cards here?" The waiter confirmed, "Yes, absolutely, we do." Daniel completed the payment and left the restaurant feeling extremely pleased and accomplished because he had successfully navigated the entire dining experience by communicating effectively in English from start to finish. Alright, let's practice this scenario together once more. Imagine you're dining out and ready to order. You could state your preference, "I'd like the cheeseburger, please," or perhaps, "I think I'll have the pasta today." If you'd like a beverage, you could say, "I'd like a coffee, please," or maybe, "Can I get a glass of fresh orange juice?" If you encounter an unfamiliar ingredient or description on the menu, don't hesitate to ask for clarification. "Excuse me, what exactly is in this dish?" Or if allergies are a concern for you, "Does this particular dish contain any nuts?" If you have known food allergies, it is critically important to inform your waiter before ordering. You should clearly state, "Just to let you know, I have a severe allergy to peanuts. Does this dish contain any peanuts or peanut oil?" When you've finished your meal, you can signal for the check by saying, "Could I have the bill, please?" Or alternatively, "Excuse me, where can I pay?" These straightforward yet absolutely essential phrases will equip you to handle virtually any restaurant dining experience with confidence. Now, let's transition to another highly common real-life situation, shopping for clothes. Imagine you're browsing in a clothing store with the intention of purchasing a new jacket. You find one that appeals to you, but you feel uncertain about which size would fit best. You can approach a sales associate or shop assistant and inquire, "Excuse me, do you happen to have this jacket in a smaller size? Or perhaps a larger one?" Or more directly, "Could I possibly try this jacket on?" Let's revisit the real example involving Sarah. Sarah was enjoying some shopping during her trip to London and spotted a lovely dress she was interested in. She wanted to try it on for size, so she approached a nearby sales associate and asked politely, "Excuse me, could you tell me where the fitting room, or changing room, is located?" The assistant smiled helpfully and replied, "Certainly. The fitting rooms are situated right at the back of the store, past the shoe section." Sarah made her way to the fitting room and tried on the dress. Unfortunately, it turned out to be slightly too large, a bit too big, for her. Undeterred, she returned to the sales associate and inquired, "Excuse me again. Do you happen to have this dress available in a smaller size?" The associate checked their inventory system or stock and responded positively, "Yes, absolutely, we do have one left in a smaller size." "Here you go." Sarah proceeded to try on the smaller size, and this time, it fit her perfectly. Feeling delighted with her find, she headed towards the cash register, or checkout, to make her purchase. The cashier rang up the item and stated the total. "That'll be £40, please." Sarah prepared her payment but, just to be certain about payment options, asked, "Do you accept both cash and credit cards here?" The cashier confirmed, "Yes, indeed, we accept both payment methods." Sarah completed the transaction and left the store feeling happy with her beautiful new dress and pleased with her successful shopping interaction in English. Okay, let's practice this scenario. Imagine you're in a clothing store. You see a pair of jeans you like and need to ask for a different size. You could say, "Excuse me, do you have these jeans available in a larger size? Or perhaps, would it be alright if I tried these jeans on?" If you find an item you like but feel the price might be a bit high, too expensive, you could inquire tactfully, "Is there currently any discount available on this item, or are you having any special sales today?" When you're ready to complete your purchase, you can ask, "Excuse me, where is the checkout located, or is it possible to pay by credit card?" Next, let's revisit the very useful situation of booking accommodations at a hotel. Imagine you're planning a trip to a new city and require a place to stay for a few nights. You might walk into a hotel or call their reservation line. Your opening statement could be, "Hello. I'd like to book a room for a few nights, please." The receptionist or reservation agent will likely follow up with, "Certainly. For how many nights will you be staying with us?" You would then reply, for example, "I'll be staying for 3 nights, checking in on date and checking out on date." Let's bring back the real story featuring Jake. Jake was traveling to Paris and arrived at the hotel where he had made a prior reservation. He approached the front desk and stated clearly, "Good evening. I have a reservation under the name Jake Thompson." The receptionist consulted their computer system and confirmed, "Ah yes, Mr. Thompson, we have your booking right here. You're confirmed for a 3-night stay in a standard single room." Jake then wanted to verify if breakfast was part of his booking, so he inquired, "Excuse me, is breakfast included with the room rate?" The receptionist clarified, "Yes, it is indeed. A complimentary breakfast buffet is served each morning from 7 a.m. until 10 a.m. in our main dining area." Jake also needed to know about the availability of Wi-Fi. He asked, "Is there complimentary Wi-Fi access available in the guest rooms?" The receptionist assured him, "Yes, absolutely. Complimentary Wi-Fi is available throughout the hotel. Here is the network name and password for your convenience." After finalizing the check-in process, Jake realized he could use some assistance with his luggage. He politely asked, "Would it be possible to get some help bringing my bags up to my room?" A bellhop promptly assisted him, and Jake proceeded to his room feeling quite comfortable and satisfied because he had managed to effortlessly communicate his needs in English and gather all the necessary information for his stay. Alright, let's practice this hotel scenario. Imagine you are booking a room. You could specify your needs. "I'd like to book a single room for 2 nights, please." Or inquire about availability. "Do you have any available rooms for tonight?" If you want to ask about the hotel's facilities or amenities, you could ask, "Is breakfast included in the price?" Or, "Do you have facilities like a swimming pool or a gym?" If you need assistance after you've checked in, you can easily call the front desk, reception, and request, "Could I please have some extra towels sent to my room?" Or, "Could you possibly help me arrange transportation to the airport?" Let's focus again on the fundamental skill of asking for directions. Imagine you're exploring a city and find yourself disoriented, needing to find a specific location, perhaps a well-known museum, the central train station, or a peaceful park. How do you initiate the request for directions? The most straightforward and direct approach is often to politely ask a passerby, "Excuse me. Could you please tell me how I get to the train station from here?" Or perhaps, "Excuse me, could you show me the way to the nearest park?" Let's recall the real example featuring Lily. Lily was visiting Tokyo for the first time and was eager to experience the renowned Sensoji Temple. Unsure of the route, she politely stopped a local resident and inquired, "Excuse me, could you please tell me how I get to Sensoji Temple?" The local resident responded kindly with clear instructions, "Certainly. The easiest way is to take the subway. You'll need to get off at Asakusa Station. From there, the temple is just a short, pleasant 5-minute walk." Lily wanted to ensure she had understood correctly, so she astutely repeated the key parts of the directions back. Okay, so I should take the subway and then get off at Asakusa Station. Is that right? The local resident nodded affirmatively and confirmed, yes, exactly. That's correct. Lily followed these clear instructions and successfully located the temple without any further issues. She felt immense satisfaction, not only from seeing the landmark but also from having mustered the courage to ask for help and successfully practice her English in a real-world navigational situation. Okay, let's practice asking for directions. Imagine you need to find your way. You could ask, "Excuse me, where's the nearest bank located?" Or, "Could you tell me how I get to the airport from downtown?" If someone provides you with directions, it's always a very good idea to repeat them back briefly to confirm your understanding. For example, okay, so I need to go straight ahead for 2 blocks and then turn left at the main traffic light. Got it. Let's continue our journey, exploring even more common everyday situations where you can confidently apply and practice your English, learn valuable new vocabulary organically, and incrementally build your fluency and self-assurance. Please view these numerous, varied examples as practical, readily accessible tools stored in your personal English communication toolkit, available for you to retrieve and utilize whenever you need to interact effectively in the real world. Imagine yourself needing to conduct business at the bank. You enter the branch, and a bank teller greets you with a professional yet friendly smile. Your purpose is to deposit a check into your account, so you state clearly, "Hello. I'd like to deposit this check into my savings account, please." The teller will likely request verification, asking, "Certainly. May I please see your account number and perhaps some identification?" You comply, responding, "Yes, of course. My account number is 1234567 and here is my driver's license." The teller might then hand you a form, explaining, "Thank you. Please just fill out this brief deposit slip with the check details." You take the provided form and carefully enter the required information. If any section of the form seems unclear or confusing, feel free to ask for assistance. "Excuse me, could you possibly help me understand what needs to go in this section?" The teller will patiently guide you. And through this process, you learn the practical skill of correctly completing a standard bank deposit form. This common banking experience clearly demonstrates that even if specific financial terminology is unfamiliar to you, asking simple, direct questions like, "Could you help me, please?" or "What does this term mean?" can make a significant difference and prevent potential errors or delays. Next up, let's consider the often nerve-wracking situation of attending a job interview. While interviews can certainly induce stress, especially when conducted in a language other than your native tongue, they also represent superb opportunities to practice speaking English within a more formal, professional context. Imagine you have an interview scheduled at a prospective company. Upon arrival, the receptionist greets you and asks, "Good morning/afternoon. Do you have an appointment scheduled?" You respond clearly, "Yes, I do. My name is Alex Johnson, and I have an interview scheduled for 10 a.m. with Ms. Davis." When the interviewer eventually comes out to greet you and shakes your hand, they might gesture towards a chair, saying, "Please, come in and have a seat." During the interview itself, you can anticipate standard questions such as, "So, could you start by telling me a little bit about yourself and your background? Or perhaps, what would you consider to be your greatest professional strengths?" A well-prepared and effective way to respond might sound something like this: "Certainly. I consider myself a dedicated and hardworking individual, and I'm always eager to learn new skills. My background includes significant experience in customer service roles, and I genuinely enjoy interacting with and helping people achieve their goals." Even if you feel considerable nervousness internally, having practiced these fundamental phrases and potential answers in advance will undoubtedly help you feel more composed and confident, enabling you to improve your interviewing skills gradually over time. Another highly practical everyday situation involves visiting a pharmacy or drugstore. Let's suppose you're feeling under the weather and need to purchase some non-prescription, over-the-counter medicine. You enter the pharmacy, approach the counter, and the pharmacist asks politely, "Hello there. How can I help you today?" You explain your symptoms. "Hi. I've been experiencing a headache and a slight fever for the past day or so. Could you possibly recommend something suitable for these symptoms? The pharmacist might suggest a specific product, saying, certainly. You could try taking this pain reliever and fever reducer. Also, please make sure you drink plenty of fluids and get adequate rest. If you feel unsure about the dosage or frequency, don't hesitate to ask for specifics. Okay, thank you. How many tablets should I take, and how often should I take them? The pharmacist will provide clear, precise instructions, which you might want to jot down quickly to ensure you remember them correctly. This common scenario underscores the fact that seeking clarification is always advisable when you're uncertain about anything, particularly when it concerns medication or health matters. Let's also touch upon everyday interactions involving technology and online communication. Imagine you're browsing online, perhaps shopping for a birthday gift. You land on a product page on a website, but you find yourself having some questions about the item's features or specifications. Many modern websites offer a convenient live chat function for customer support. You could initiate a chat by typing, "Hello there. I'm quite interested in this particular product. Would you be able to provide me with some more detailed information about it?" The customer service representative on the other end might reply promptly, "Absolutely. It's a very popular, high-quality item that comes with a standard 1-year manufacturer's warranty." If you then want to inquire about the estimated delivery time or shipping duration, you could follow up by asking, "That sounds good. Could you tell me approximately how long shipping usually takes to your location?" This type of online interaction not only helps you learn useful new vocabulary relevant to e-commerce, such as warranty, specifications, and shipping/delivery, but also increases your comfort level with using English effectively in various digital communication settings. Now, let's consider the scenario of needing to use an ATM, automated teller machine, to access cash. You approach the machine and observe the instructions displayed on the screen. Sometimes, the language used on ATMs can seem slightly cryptic due to abbreviations or specialized banking terminology. If you feel uncertain about a particular step, you can even quietly verbalize your intention to yourself, "Okay, my goal here is to withdraw some cash." As you insert your bank card and carefully enter your personal identification number, PIN, you meticulously follow the sequential prompts appearing on the screen. If, at any point, you require assistance or clarification, you could potentially ask a nearby bank employee if available, or perhaps politely inquire of another person waiting in line, "Excuse me. I'm a bit confused by this message on the screen. Could you possibly help me understand what it means?" With each small, successful step in this process, you are actively practicing reading comprehension and following instructions presented in English, thereby strengthening both your listening and written English understanding skills. Imagine attending a social event, perhaps a neighborhood block party, a local community gathering, or a city-organized festival. At events like these, you often have wonderful opportunities to interact with a diverse range of people from various walks of life. Someone might approach you initiating conversation with, "Hi there, I'm Sarah. It's nice to meet you. Are you from around here?" You could respond warmly, "Hello Sarah, nice to meet you too. No, actually, I'm originally from Brazil." Sarah might then inquire further, "Oh, interesting. What brings you here, or what do you do for a living?" You could reply, "I work in the IT sector, or I'm currently a student at the university." As the conversation naturally unfolds, you'll likely hear common phrases like, "Oh, that's really interesting," or "Tell me a bit more about your work." These types of casual social interactions provide excellent opportunities to practice using informal language, understand common everyday expressions, and become adept at engaging in small talk. Another relatable scenario involves visiting a coffee shop. Coffee shops typically offer a very relaxed and friendly atmosphere, making them ideal places to practice informal English conversation in a low-pressure environment. As you walk in, the barista behind the counter might greet you cheerfully with, "Good morning. What can I get started for you today?" You could respond, "Good morning to you too. I'd just like a regular latte, please." If you happen to feel unsure about the correct pronunciation of latte or any other menu item, simply say the words slowly and clearly, rest assured, no one will judge you. Upon receiving your freshly made coffee, a simple and polite "thank you very much" suffices. While this interaction might seem exceedingly basic, it provides crucial practice in employing polite conversational norms and handling simple transactional exchanges. Should you wish to strike up a more extended, casual conversation with the barista during a lull or perhaps with another patron, you could ask something like, "Is this your favorite neighborhood coffee shop?" Or offer a simple observation like, "It's certainly a lovely day outside today, isn't it?" These brief, informal exchanges serve as excellent practice for initiating contact, making new acquaintances, and becoming more comfortable with the natural rhythm and flow of everyday English small talk. Let's now explore the scenario of needing to make an appointment over the phone, a common task for various services. Imagine you need to reserve a table at a popular restaurant, perhaps for a special birthday dinner. When you make the call, you would typically begin by stating your purpose. "Hello. I'd like to inquire about making a table reservation for this coming Saturday evening." The person answering the phone, likely the host or reservationist, might then ask for details. "Certainly. For how many people will the reservation be?" You would reply clearly, "It will be for a party of 4 people, please." They might then ask about timing. "Okay, and what time were you thinking of dining with us?" You could respond, "Around 7 p.m. would be ideal, please." If you need to confirm any specific details about the reservation, feel free to ask, "Could you possibly just repeat the details of the reservation back to me to confirm?" Or if dietary needs are a factor, "Do you happen to have good vegetarian options available on your menu?" Even when communicating solely by phone, where you lack visual cues like facial expressions, ensuring clear and accurate communication is paramount. This type of practice helps you become more adept at using English effectively in situations where precision regarding times, dates, and details is essential. Consider also the experience of visiting your local library. Libraries, while typically quiet environments, are treasure troves of opportunities for learning and practicing English through reading materials and interactions with knowledgeable library staff. Imagine you're interested in finding books related to European travel. You approach the librarian at the information desk and inquire, "Excuse me, could you please help me locate the section with books about traveling in Europe?" The librarian might respond helpfully, "Of course. Our main travel section is located over there, on the 2nd floor. Did you need assistance finding a specific country or type of travel book?" You could follow up, "Yes, please. Which book would you recommend for someone planning their first trip to Italy, perhaps?" Or if language level is a consideration, "Are there any travel guides available that are written in relatively simple English?" These questions will help you make the most of your library visit, and in the process, you'll likely learn relevant vocabulary such as library, section, recommend, topic, travel guide, and beginner. Imagine another enjoyable leisure activity, watching a movie at the cinema or movie theater. As you enter the cinema complex, your first step is likely purchasing a ticket. You approach the ticket counter or use a self-service kiosk and state your request. "Hello. Could I please have one adult ticket for the 7 p.m. showing of movie title?" The cashier might then ask about seating preferences. "Certainly. Would you prefer a seat in any particular area, front, middle, or back?" You could reply, "Somewhere generally in the middle of the theater would be great, if possible." If you have questions about the film's presentation, such as the language, you might inquire, "Excuse me. Is this movie showing with English subtitles, or is it dubbed into English?" The cashier clarifies, "This particular showing is in the original language, French, but it does have English subtitles." This entire interaction not only allows you to practice movie-related vocabulary, like ticket, showing or showtime, seat, subtitles, and dubbed, but also provides a natural context for discussing your entertainment preferences and choices. Next, let's consider using social media or messaging apps as a way to maintain connections with friends or family members living abroad. You might compose a message like this: "Hi, friend's name, how have you been? Hope everything is going well with you. Just wanted to quickly share that I've been actively practicing my English skills every day lately. And I'm actually really enjoying the process, even though it can definitely be challenging at times. Your friend might respond encouragingly, "Hey, that's fantastic news. So glad to hear it. What kinds of things are you doing specifically to practice?" You could then elaborate, "Well, I've been listening to a lot of English podcasts, watching educational videos on YouTube, and trying my best to strike up conversations with native speakers whenever I get the chance." This type of digital exchange serves not only as an effective way to stay connected across distances but also provides valuable practice in writing informal English and utilizing common everyday expressions within a casual communication context. Imagine now that you have upcoming travel plans that require renting a car. You visit a car rental agency counter, perhaps at the airport or in the city. You initiate the process by stating, "Good morning. I'd like to inquire about renting a car for approximately 3 days, starting tomorrow." The rental agent will likely ask for essential documentation, certainly. Do you have a valid driver's license and a credit card? You confirm, "Yes, I do. I have my valid international driver's license right here." The agent then typically outlines the available vehicle options. "Okay, great. We currently have compact cars and standard sedans available for that period. Do you have a preference regarding the type of vehicle?" You might then ask about the cost difference. "Could you tell me the price difference per day between the compact car and the sedan?" The agent clarifies, "The compact car rents for $30 per day, while the standard sedan is $40 per day, plus taxes and fees." You then make your informed decision. "Okay, in that case, I'll take the compact car, please." This entire conversation utilizes practical vocabulary such as rent/rental, driver's license, valid, compact, sedan, price, and per day. It also provides excellent practice in engaging in simple negotiations and confirming the specific details of the rental agreement. Another common everyday experience involves planning a weekend outing with friends, perhaps organizing a casual picnic in a local park. You might initiate the planning in a group chat by sending a message like, "Hey everyone. Thinking of organizing a picnic this coming Saturday afternoon at Central Park, maybe around 1 p.m. Would anyone be interested in joining?" Your friends would then respond regarding their availability and perhaps offer contributions, such as "Sounds fun. I can definitely bring some sandwiches," or "Count me in. I'll bring drinks and snacks." You then coordinate the logistics further. "Awesome. That sounds great. How about we plan to meet up around 11 a.m. near the main fountain?" As the conversation progresses, you collectively discuss finer details, including specific food items, the precise meeting location, and potential activities for the afternoon, like frisbee, music, or just relaxing. This friendly planning session naturally introduces vocabulary related to social events, such as picnic, join, sandwiches, drinks, meeting spot, and fountain. It also effectively reinforces the importance of utilizing clear, concise communication when organizing collaborative group activities. Imagine a scenario where you need to managing household services, for instance, scheduling a professional cleaning for your apartment. You would call a local cleaning service company and state your request. "Hello there. I'd like to inquire about scheduling a cleaning service for my 2-bedroom apartment, preferably sometime this Friday." The representative on the phone would likely ask about timing. "Okay, certainly. What time on Friday would work best for you?" You might respond, "Sometime in the morning, perhaps around 9 or 10 a.m., would be ideal if possible." The representative might then ask for further details. "All right. Do you have any specific cleaning instructions or areas you'd like us to focus on?" You could specify, "Yes, please. Could you ensure extra attention is paid to the kitchen appliances and the bathroom tiles?" The representative then confirms the booking. "Okay, noted. We have you scheduled for 9 a.m. this Friday. Will that be all for today?" You conclude the call. "Yes, that's perfect. Thank you very much for your help." This interaction introduces practical phrases like "schedule a cleaning, apartment, special instructions," and "confirm the appointment." It also clearly demonstrates how routine service calls necessitate clear, direct language to achieve the desired outcome efficiently. Now, let's consider situations requiring expressing gratitude or apologizing gracefully in everyday circumstances. Perhaps, while walking down a crowded street, you accidentally bump into someone, causing them to momentarily stumble. Your immediate reaction should be, "Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. Are you all right?" The person might respond, perhaps slightly annoyed but understandingly, "Yes, I'm okay, no harm done. Just try to be a bit more careful next time." You would then reply courteously, "Thank you so much for your understanding. I'll definitely be more mindful." This brief exchange utilizes essential polite expressions and common phrases such as "I'm sorry/excuse me, thank you, are you okay, and be more careful/mindful." Learning and consistently employing these phrases helps you navigate unexpected minor incidents smoothly and reinforces your ability to use polite language effectively in virtually any social situation. Another crucial area for practice involves using English effectively in a professional context, such as when writing business emails. Imagine you need to send an email to your supervisor providing an update on a project you're managing. You would typically begin with a formal and polite salutation. "Dear Mr. Smith, I hope this email finds you well and that you had a productive week." Then, clearly state the purpose of your email. "I am writing to provide you with a brief status update regarding the XYZ project. I'm pleased to report that we have successfully completed the initial research phase ahead of schedule and are now actively preparing for the subsequent development stage. Please do not hesitate to let me know if you have any questions or require any further detailed information at this time." Conclude professionally. "Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, your name." This email effectively employs formal language and introduces standard professional phrases like "Dear, I hope this email finds you well/I hope you are well. I am writing to update you on initial phase, subsequent stage, and further information/additional details." Consistently writing emails in this manner significantly strengthens your capacity to use professional English clearly, structurally, and concisely. Let's explore one more example related to travel planning. Suppose you're organizing an upcoming vacation and need to research your chosen destination online. You might visit a tourism board's website and read about popular local attractions. While reading, you encounter a sentence such as, "The historic city center offers a wide range of engaging activities, including world-class museums, beautiful public parks, and informative historical walking tours." If the word tours is unfamiliar, you could easily click on a hyperlink if provided, or quickly use an online dictionary to discover its meaning: organized excursions or guided visits. Later, as you meticulously plan your travel itinerary, you might jot down notes in your planner or digital document. Allocate time to join one of the guided historical walking tours, perhaps on the first full day of the visit. This practical exercise demonstrates how engaging with reading and writing related to your personal interests not only enhances your language skills but also enriches your actual travel experiences by allowing for more informed planning. Imagine you're also keen on learning a new skill, perhaps something creative like photography. You decide to enroll in a beginner's photography class where the instructor explains fundamental techniques. During the session, the instructor might state, "Okay everyone, today we're going to focus on understanding how to properly adjust the exposure and focus settings on your cameras." Exposure essentially controls how much light reaches the camera's sensor, determining the image's brightness, while focus dictates which specific part of your photograph appears sharp and clear. If you require further clarification on a specific technical term, you should feel comfortable asking, "Excuse me. Could you please explain what exposure means again, maybe in simpler terms?" Your instructor would likely respond helpfully, "Absolutely." Think of exposure simply as the overall brightness or darkness of your final picture. This type of interactive classroom discussion naturally introduces you to specialized technical vocabulary while providing ample opportunity to ask clarifying questions, thereby ensuring a thorough understanding of the lesson's content. Now, think about everyday technological interactions, such as ordering food delivery conveniently via a mobile app. You launch the app on your phone, browse through nearby restaurants, select one, and then choose your desired dishes from their digital menu. Once you're ready to finalize your order, you tap the prominent Place Order button. The app then typically displays a confirmation screen, often stating something like, "Thank you. Your order has been placed and is expected to arrive in approximately 30 to 40 minutes. If you have any specific dietary needs or preferences, special requests, you can usually add a note for the restaurant. Please ensure no onions are included in the salad." Or could you please include extra napkins with the order? After confirming, you'll likely receive push notifications updating you on the order status, including when the delivery driver is approaching your location. This common digital interaction involves reading comprehension, understanding instructions, and sometimes writing brief messages in English, all within a highly practical, real-world context. Through this process, you naturally learn relevant vocabulary like order, delivery, confirmation, notification, special requests, and approximately. Imagine yet another scenario where you need to gracefully dealing with unexpected schedule changes. For instance, suppose you had arranged to meet a friend for lunch, but they call you shortly before the scheduled time, explaining, "Hey, I'm so sorry, but I'm afraid I'm running a little late. Maybe about 15 minutes behind schedule." In response, you could react calmly and understandingly, "Oh, okay. No problem at all. Don't worry about it. Take your time getting here safely. Just shoot me a text when you're on your way." This brief conversation effectively teaches you how to handle alterations in plans politely and utilizes common, natural-sounding phrases such as "I'm running late," "No problem / no worries," "Take your time, just let me know," and "On your way." Interactions like these clearly demonstrate that flexibility and clear, calm communication are essential components of smooth everyday conversation. And with that extensive exploration, we reach the conclusion of today's comprehensive episode focusing on enhancing English listening and speaking skills, particularly for learners building their foundation. I sincerely hope you found genuine value and enjoyment in listening to these numerous real-life stories and highly practical examples. I am truly confident that engaging with this type of material regularly and actively can significantly accelerate the improvement of your English language abilities. Please always remember that listening attentively to how other people naturally communicate in the most ordinary, everyday situations is undeniably one of the most effective, engaging, and sustainable ways to practice and internalize the language. Keep actively immersing yourself in similar authentic content. Don't ever be afraid to re-listen to sections or repeat useful phrases out loud. By doing so, you will gradually but surely build greater confidence, accuracy, and fluency in your spoken English. If you found this particular episode beneficial and informative, we would greatly appreciate it if you could take a moment to give it a thumbs up, perhaps leave a comment below sharing your own related experiences or asking any questions you might have, and, most importantly, please be sure to subscribe to the Fluent English Community channel to gain access to even more valuable insights and engaging learning materials. We consistently upload fresh videos packed with authentic stories, practical language tips, and targeted exercises meticulously designed to help you elevate your English proficiency incrementally, step by careful step. Also, please consider sharing this podcast or video resource with any friends, family members, or colleagues who are also on their English learning journey. Remember, learning collaboratively often makes the process more enjoyable and demonstrably more effective. We eagerly look forward to welcoming you back for our next episode. Wishing you all the very best with your continued practice. Keep up the great work.